about welcome to my channel. My name is Mallory. If you're new here and you want to become one of my pals, subscribe down below, ring the bell, give this video a thumbs up. If you're a returning pal, welcome back. So this is like a part 2. Will it be more than that? Sometimes it is. About like a health update, health journey, my back history. That sounded weird, back history? Anyways, whatever, we're gonna roll with it. My leg and foot are falling asleep. So, I'm trying to get comfortable and it ain't easy. Oh my goodness. Maybe I stretch my leg out. Okay, I might not be perfectly in frame, but we're not worrying about these things. So, I was having issues in 2013 and I was put on a patch, and I think it was 2011 was when I was diagnosed with vestibular migraines. Now this is where things seem very important to me. So I think I was like 22, 23. Like I was young and I was diagnosed with vestibular migraines. For those who don't have a clue what a vestibular migraine is, because I've learned over the years a lot of people don't, when I talk about that, when people hear the word migraine, they automatically associate like pain, like excruciating headaches, that like stereotypical classic, like in a dark room, a cold compress on your eyes or your forehead, like you're blocking out the noise, the light, you're just like in excruciating pain, trying to sleep it off. Or whatever you can do to manage. And so not all migraines are painful. Not all migraines are the same. And they're not the same for every individual person. So for me, a migraine means the room spins. It's like I'm on the teacups at Disney World, but I'm not, and I'm not having a fun time. And so for some people, it feels like they're falling backwards. It causes balance issues. I'm a high fall risk. There's just things you gotta be careful about. Know your triggers. Try to stay calm and not get overly worked up and stressed out. For me, I do take like a preventative prophylactic medicine to keep things at bay. Like I was on a medication that my neurologist prescribed to me, and this medicine saved my life. And when things were getting really bad again and I was getting more migraines, I went back, had an appointment with him, and he upped the dosage on the medicine, and beautiful. So early 20s, at the neurologist, finally getting my diagnosis after suffering for 2 years and being misdiagnosed by 5, read them and weep, different doctors. Some were confused. Some thought I might have had Meniere's disease, but I didn't check all the boxes, but I checked enough. But like also they didn't know what the hell it was. They also thought I had labyrinthitis, which is like a virus that can last up to 4 weeks. With the vertigo, some people just thought I had vertigo. Here's a pill for that, and all it did was make me sleepy and have a nice nap. It was like a prescription strength, like over the counter, like motion sickness type medicine, but like a prescribed one. And it did absolutely diddly squat for the dizziness. But if it made me sleep through it and I didn't have to endure it for like about a couple hours a day, then like, can I complain? Probably not. I should probably be grateful. But anyways, so finally got the VM diagnosis, and my mom asks a lot of questions. I like that about her. And she asked the doctor, is this normal? And he said, like for me, no, in the sense that he normally sees vestibular migraines like occur in menopausal women. So this was like before the hot flashes and the weight gain and all that crap, because while I was so dizzy and here's how bad it was. I was bedbound. The room wouldn't stop spinning. My mom, I like clung onto her for dear life, and she would have to escort me to the bathroom. And I mean like all the way to the toilet, and like make sure that I was like as steady as I could be. And then she would walk out, but like leave the door open a bit so she could holler like, "Are you okay in there?" Where I would be, let's get a little TMI, right? I'd be sitting on the toilet, and I would be with all my life gripping onto the counter on my actual, this is my left, but on my right, it's probably reversed for you, so it's fine, where my other hand was, if not the toilet paper roll, then the toilet paper roll holder. I was holding on to for dear life, because I'm like, woo, it's the tilt-a-whirl, put them on a toilet. And during this time, because I was so dizzy, I was so nauseous, I was constantly like having a bucket by me. And I could hardly eat. I was like losing weight. Like I was getting like even more skinny than I was. And it was upsetting my grandma. She'd look at me and cry. It's like, but there's more to it behind that. That's her PTSD. Anyways, so once the room finally stopped spinning and I started to get better and like I could eat again, and not be bedbound, and go get my eyebrows done, and learned that I had like 9 cavities. Fun, because my teeth were not bothering me for 2 years. They were not painful. I didn't know I had so many cavities. And then that was followed by a decaying wisdom tooth that needed to be extracted. And that was a whole other episode of you know what, and a bunch of shiz, a bunch of, and I had to end up being put under general anesthesia in a hospital to have dental work. Okay, that's a whole other story for another time, or not, but just one like curveball after another, after another, after another. It's like when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Like I could have gone into business and still be like, churning them out. So, the fact that my neurologist said menopausal women, I'm like, if that wasn't the first sign, the telltale sign of what was to come, I don't know what was. I feel like he called it then and there. So now it's like, do I have, POI? Well, nobody knows. But I'm on a patch. And the way I was working the patch is I would take it off 1 week every month, and then the rest of the 3 weeks I'd be wearing the patch. But when I would menstruate, I would get dizzy, and sometimes it would be just enough so that all I could do is lay in bed or sit on the couch and just keep my head as still as possible and like try to watch TV. Or lay in my bed and just like not move, not even my eyes, like move nothing. And did I want to do that every month? No. Was my PMDD in check? For the most part, but now we have let's add a third D to the PMDD. Let's call this Mallory's premenstrual dysmorphic dizzy disorder. And I said, I can't go on like this. So we talked to, I think it was a gynecologist, and she said, take a patch, and you're going to change it once a week, but we're going to work it so you only get 4 periods a year. And it was like, oh my God, thank you, Jesus. And that is how I was working the patch for most of all this time, right? And little did I know until recently when I dove deep into this patch that the patch is being problematic. And I don't want to say this in a way to scare anyone, because it might work for you. It might be the best thing that ever happened to you. But I personally maybe should have never been on it in the first place. When I say YouTube has saved my life many a times, it helped me get my YouTube. YouTube, has helped me to get my vestibular migraine diagnosis. It taught me that what was going on my face is called melasma. A beauty guru actually taught me that, a pregnant beauty guru. And I chuckle because I've never been pregnant a day in my life. So for me to have like skin issues that affect a pregnant woman, I blame the patch, because I did Google melasma, like what on earth causes it, and it said like high amounts of estrogen. And since I was going from like little to no estrogen to like now I'm like sticking something on me monthly, like weekly, every month, except for 4 weeks out of an entire year, that would explain. Because every person I talk to, the lady that used to do my eyebrows in New Jersey, my esthetician in New Jersey, even my general, my primary care physician in New Jersey, I was concerned about my skin, and I was very self-conscious because it was getting bad. And the esthetician, the eyebrow lady, they all said bleach cream. And my PCP said, I don't really know what that is. Did I bother with a dermatologist? No, I didn't. But I learned through trial and error. And I learned that the sun makes it worse. So I have to wear at least an SPF of 40 or higher. Anything below just doesn't cut it. And if I'm going to be out for long periods of time, I need to reapply, especially in the problematic areas, and wear a hat. You know, you got the little brim there to try to help cover your face, because the more the sun hits the melanin, like I have excess melanin in these areas, the sun's going to make it darker. And then I have a 5 o'clock shadow up in here and an even darker splotchier forehead. And so I try to use like products from Sephora that aim to help with sunspots, dark spots, aging things, and hyperpigmentation. And it does help, but you also need to be careful because these kind of products do say, like, especially vitamin C serums for like brightening and evening, you know, the skin out, to wear sunscreen and protect your skin because it could make it worse. So whenever there's a product that is like that, I try to use it at nighttime, like before bed, so my skin can have like time to absorb everything and work its magic where I'm not directly in the sunlight. And then the next day I'll either, you know, I always wear sunscreen, but I sometimes then go extra and above with a hat. And so all that to say, after being passed around like a hot potato back in 2013, I did the hot potato game again in 2021, where at the time a gynecologist, a primary care physician, and a rheumatologist were all involved, and it turned out to be the gynecologist that caused, here's what she did. When I had blood work done, she looked at my ANA levels. Do not ask me what that stands for. I do not know. But she put it in the system to be checked when I had my lab work done because she didn't know why my hair was falling out. So the levels came back on the borderline. So my PCP, the gynecologist, I just started filming part 2 of a video, and I was going, and then the video just disappeared in mid-filming. If you're new, welcome. My name is Mallory. If you'd like to become one of my pals, it's super simple. Hit the subscribe button down. If there's only one, find it. It's down below. Hit it. Subscribe, ring the bell. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you are a returning pal, welcome back. I don't remember all that I was saying or where I left off in my last video, but trying to keep things as condensed as possible. Diagnosed with vestibular migraines. Neurologist said that, it's something he usually and only normally sees in menopausal women. A couple years later, I started having menopausal symptoms after playing a game of hot potato where I was the hot potato, where the gynecologist said, hey, go to the reproductive specialist. And after some time with her, she's like, hey, go back to the gynecologist. And then the gynecologist didn't have a clue what to do with me, really. And I was given a patch with a whole bunch of weird estrogen stuff, estradiol, a whole bunch of things that I cannot pronounce. And they all just sent me on my merry little way. And that was in 2013. And during that time, I developed melasma, hyperpigmentation on my face, and I know how to make it less severe, but I didn't have this issue prior to wearing this patch. And when I looked into it at the time, back in the heyday, it said if you have a lot of estrogen in your body, which that's what that patch was giving me right off the bat, that can cause this like melasma stuff. Also, it is more prominent, I think is the word we are looking for in pregnant women, but I've never been pregnant a day in my life. So, it was just like, seriously? I mean, I had concerns. I talked to some people and they said bleach cream. I said, no, thank you. I asked my primary care physician at the time, what was this all about? He didn't have a clue. So I have to give thanks to YouTube for not only helping me get my vestibular migraine diagnosis, but I need to thank a beauty guru. I don't remember her name. She was pregnant at the time when I learned about the melasma. And I think she was from Louisiana. She seemed like a very sweet, nice lady. She was one of the like OG beauty gurus way back when like the beauty community was just getting started and becoming popular. So I give thanks to her. Unfortunately, her name has escaped me. And I give thanks to YouTube for a lot of things. I give thanks to my grandma because I'm a lot like her. Like, she was a social worker. She's just that type of lady. That's the type of person I am. She writes down everything when it comes to her medical stuff. And I started doing that in 2020 to try to see if I could, like, piece the puzzle together. She's a medical detective. I'm a medical detective because I'm terrified. And I feel like power is knowledge. And when you're afraid of something, if you can, like, learn about it, then it becomes less scary. So no one has given me a formal diagnosis when they should have, in my opinion, back in 2013-14. Like, let's take me back and just tell me what the heck is wrong with me and get me started on hormone replacement therapy. Or some kind of, like, something else, okay? Because that patch, whew. So my research on this patch, I learned a lot, all right? I learned this why I got the splotchy skin. I learned why I've been gaining weight the way that I have. I think it's twofold. One, I think whatever is in this patch, the more I wear it, which, it's been 13 days since I stopped completely wearing it. But I feel like, what are we talking? 8 to 10 years with this sucker. That's like accumulated, right? Things are piling on top of one another. That's bound to make problems. And it said a side effect, could be weight gain. These are things no one told me from the get, right? Weight gain, I have that. Don't want it. If I can do something that's going to help stop it, like take a patch off, then that's what I'm doing. But if I do some form of POF, POI, anything related or similar to menopause, that'll also cause weight gain, and that, until I get that under control, there's nothing I can do about it. It's a waiting game. No one ever told me that this patch, long-term or short-term, I don't know, but I feel like it's long-term for me, could make my hair thin and even worse, fall out. Got 4 strikes against me. The 5th would be anxiety and depression, things I already deal with. one of the like minor, and these are all the minor things, is there a way to show you? If there is, I will show you. It said you could feel like anxious, like anxiety issues, depression issues, which like I already have those, so like why put something in my body that could make it worse? So, give me one moment to figure things out. So there was just, you know, things that were concerning. Yeah, okay, here we go. Okay, part 1. Oh, hello. Oh my goodness, where'd it go? Pardon me, hold on. We're gonna get through this. See, I screenshot and highlighted and took notes. Oh my god, and I keep losing it. This thing is like, has a mind of its own. Seriously, where did it go? Everything is like working against me, and I'm not here for that. Okay. So it changes, alright, no. It says headache, but I didn't, as you can see, things are highlighted. I didn't highlight headache because I deal with tension headaches, with all sorts of different types of headaches in general. So if my head were to be hurting, I don't know that it's necessarily from this patch. But then again, who's not to say that this isn't making anything worse, right? So patch. And then something I had from the very beginning that I was kind of warned about was reaction to the patch application site. So for me, I don't want to say I'm allergic, but like my skin gets extremely irritated to the adhesiveness. And my skin's like that with some Band-Aids. Like my skin's getting sensitive. I don't know what the deal with that is. But that's another problem for another day because it's a new thing with Band-Aids. But the patch, like wherever I would stick it, so you want it in kind of like a fatty area, like your lower abdominal, lower abdominal, like your butt, like on your arm or like somewhere. Like there are certain areas where it's like this is where you want to place the patch, and then when you remove it and you go to put a new one on, like pick a different spot. So if it's on like your left butt cheek, next week it's on your right butt cheek, right? So towards like the end of the 7 days of wearing it, I would get really itchy like on the edges of where the patch, the patch. And it would be like insane. I would remove the patch and you could see like red raised skin, and it would be so itchy. I'd have to put anti-itch cream on it, or I would just scratch until like blood drew to the surface. It was bad, and it's been this way from like day 1. But I did want to make note of it because it's like, do I really want to be using an adhesive going forward? Not really. But if I do, I think it's something to note in case I do have like an allergy to that, then it might, I don't know. So vaginal breakthrough bleeding or spotting. Within the last like 3 years, that's been like, and maybe even more than that, like 4 or 5, but definitely 3, that was happening to me so much that it was slightly alarming, and I got concerned, and I went to talk to someone about it, and they said that's totally normal and it's fine. Like I asked the physician's assistant at the gynecologist's office, like, is it normal? Well, not normal. I don't think I asked if it was normal, but I said, is it okay? Like, is it healthy? Is it fine? Is it all the things for me to be on the same birth control for all these years? And they said, it's fine and you're fine. I asked at that time my general practitioner. She was like, you good? Am I though? And then there's another thing I'm not going to discuss because it's even more personal. But I did highlight it just to make note of it because that could mean that I do have an increase in my testosterone, but it's not an area of concern to me. Like if someone said, oh, you have blah, 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 we can fix that. I would say, no, thank you. I'm trying to get comfortable over here. I would say, no, thank you. I don't mind it. It's not affecting my personal life. If at any point in time, should I change my mind, I will let you know. But for right now, unless I need testosterone for something else, like I'm good. I'm good. Blotchy, darkening of the skin, most commonly on face. Weight gain, hella. Hair loss, you betcha. So what I've learned over the years, like the past 2 years, is if you have too much testosterone, you might thin and your hair might fall out. You might have on your face, you might have male pattern facial hair, but up here you got that male pattern baldness, thinning and it's falling out. And listen, I don't want to look anything like my Grandpa Marty. No offense to like Grandpa Marty, but like that's not the vibe, okay? The Dr. Phil look is not what I'm aiming for. So, all that to say, like, listen, I kind of accepted that there's a bunch of gray hairs in my head at the age of 30. Do I think that's normal? Not necessarily. But if gray hair is caused by stress, it makes sense. Did my brother start to become a little bit salt and pepper on his head in his 30s, late 20s, 30s? Yes. Again, if stress was a thing that causes that, like there was things I could see that would make me say, oh, that makes sense for you, but you know, it's his business, it's his life. So, but for me, it's like, wait, I mean, my father didn't start getting some grays till like 50s or later. And like my mom, I mean, you look to your parents, right? And you're like, well, what's it going to be like when I'm older? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to be this big till I'm 40. Then I might be this big. My thumb's a little bit wider than a pinky finger. I figured I had until I was like in my mid 40s, so I might start to gain a little weight and my metabolism might start to slow down. I was not expecting my mid 20s, and I was not expecting all the grays. I mean, I just kind of stopped plucking them unless they're like right dead front and center, and like I feel like they can be seen from outer space. Like I had my hair back the other day and I was like, oh my God, I'm seeing more and more scalp. It was just like, what is going on? So my testosterone, I don't know where it's at. I feel like it is low, but I feel like since most like progesterone, or some type of a derivative of progesterone in birth control, most of them come from testosterone. And there's some other ingredients and things in there that can cause one to lose their hair. My mom did a bunch of research and she was concerned about my headaches, my optical migraines, and my vision, because they were saying that this could be causing that, be problematic. And she was wondering if why I get some of the issues that I get regarding my eyes and head and stuff. Was the patch making it worse? And if not, it possibly could. I was concerned as I'm turning 35 in the month of June that things are just look out for. So this. I put a question mark. This is under the more major side effects. Next to high cholesterol, because lately, like my cholesterol has been like just elevated by a little bit. And like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I had lab work done, and that was the first time in my life that like cholesterol was like a blip on anyone's radar. And my psychiatrist at the time, he's like, I need you exercising more. I need you eating fibrous foods. If you eat an apple a day, like it's gonna help you out to lower your cholesterol, and eat that skin. I'm like, my teeth doesn't let me do that. You want me to chew on the skin of an apple? Good luck, sir, for me. I have like, you want to talk about teeth, jawline, dental stuff? We can make that a separate video. Anywho, he was kind of like, don't eat so much cheese. That's really hard. Is there a 12-step program for cheese? I don't think so. And he was just basically saying, be active and just make healthier choices. Well, ever since I moved to Florida, I've been the most active I've ever been. I'm working every day to try to make healthy choices. So, I don't know. But when I had my blood work done last year, when I was passed around like a hot potato, again, I hate it. I didn't understand. Like, my primary care physician at that time, like, because, you know, there's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. I don't know, it's like LDL and something else. I don't know. If you know, great. But the one that shouldn't be elevated was slightly elevated. But the good one was also like in a good spot, that she kind of acted like the good one canceled out the bad one. So like, don't worry about it. And part of me was like, oh, well, note to self, again, try to eat less cheese and be more mindful of what you're putting in your body. But I also wasn't that concerned because I was still being a very active person. However, what causes high cholesterol? Probably like a conundrum. No, that's not the word, a conundrum. A plethora of things. A cackle of things. But the fact that this freaking patch over here that I'm now pissed at, that I was terrified to remove in the first place in the month of December of 2021. It's funny where I was at then compared to now. That just might be the thing. And if not, it could be contributing to the thing. And so by removing one thing, the patch, I could be lessening those symptoms. Now, depressive symptoms and anxiety disorders, do we need to dive deep into what it is? Probably not, because if you know, you know. And for that, I am sorry, and I feel for you. If you don't know, you're very lucky. So it's like, where was this in 2013 when I was given this patch? That's what I want to know. So in 2021, I said, hey, I'm gaining weight. My hair is falling out. I have funky skin. Like, what is going on? Can anyone tell me? And I talked to a physician's assistant and a gynecologist practice, an OBGYN practice. And she said, you're going to need to talk to like an actual doctor. I appreciate honesty. If you're not the man for the job or the woman for the job or whatever for the job, like I like when people are upfront about it and say this person or this field of medicine would better suit you. So I did everything I could with the freaking gynecologist. And because I said my hair was falling out, she decided to check out the ANA panels. I don't know how much of this I've said in my last video, so if I'm a broken record at all, I do apologize, but it's a lot for me to process. And because of that, and it being on the borderline, to someone that is not in rheumatology and has no prior knowledge of anything in the field of rheumatology, it's going to be like, ding, 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 there's a red flag. So the gynecologist and my primary care physician at the time both were like, you need to see a rheumatologist. And don't worry, I did. And the rheumatologist said, what are you doing here? You're not the classic typical patient who could have an autoimmune disease, which I do not. Again, thank whomever, praise to whomever. For me, that gotta be Jesus, okay? Because I believe, like, my dad's parents, one or both of them, might have had, like, psoriasis. And I believe that's an autoimmune disease. I'm like, what the hell is in my family history? Like, I hardly know anything about my dad's side of the family, which is a little sad but concerning, because I'm like, one day I'm going to be by myself. I might have a person with me, or I'm not ready to share what I'm thinking about for my future. But I don't see myself like alone, but like there will come a point where I'll be older, my parents will be older, and we know how the circle of life goes. So, cycle of life. And I don't want to be having a problem and, I have to fill out a bunch of paperwork and I don't know the answers to anything. So something I want to do now is be proactive, sit down with my mom and say, write down everything you know. So I can like keep it like in a binder, in a notebook, on my phone somewhere, just like so I can have it. Like leave me with how to do life 101. So when you're not around to help me in that way, I have everything I need in the palm of my hand. And she knows a lot more about my dad's side of the family than I do. But should I have questions, hopefully he can answer them for me. Because it's important to know things. Because if something is running in your family, like there's family history, it should be addressed. So like while I was a hot mess, my mom thought maybe I was having a funky thyroid. Those are not her words, they're mine. Because her eldest sister, her late baby sister, her mom, her late father, there could be others. Like everyone on the side of the family practically had something going on with the thyroid. So it's like, well, is it my turn? I felt like my brother skipped a lot of the poop and it all fell on me. Because someone's got to take one for the team. So anyways, that's what my mom thought and kept like pushing it on me. And I was like, stop it. You hated it when your mother, aka my grandma, pushed it on you and kept saying, I think there's something wrong with your thyroid. And you would say to her, why do you wish this upon me? I'm like, I don't want to attract something that I don't believe is an issue. But if you're so concerned and if the symptoms do mimic whatever the hell's wrong with me, then fine. When I go to get my lab work done, which was about a week, 2 weeks ago, throw all the thyroid in the mix so they can double, triple check that too. But we're now at a point where I'm off the patch and my mom spoke to one of my pharmacists. Because like I have like your like typical, the pharmacies and like your grocery stores. I use one of those, but then I also have a compounding pharmacist. And I feel like pharmacists are very smart. And this one in particular, he is like extremely smart. So my mom was like, what do you know about this? Let me tell you what I've been learning and my concerns from my daughter. You tell me what you know. And so she told him I went off this patch. And he was like, it's like, oh, what do you know? So he's like, I'll do some more research. I'll dig into it. I'll let you know. But like, whenever there was a question or a concern, he could answer it. Whenever there was an idea thrown around that I might have to take some type of a medicine and it only came in a form or formula that I could not do, we'd ask him about it and he said, I can make you anything you need. I can make it a cream or a liquid, like rub it on, just... This is some Tylenol, adult liquid strength, acetaminophen, Walgreens brand. Because CVS is clear. There's no, and it freaks me out. And it's a little more like, Anyways, so I do need to watch this. But a liquid that you just, like a shot, you know? So he's trying to help me out. But he did say, listen, I'm not a doctor. I can't just go prescribing medicine. And my mom said, no, I get it. I understand. I know how it all works. But just a little heads up, you know, we've had many conversations with my current, you know, PCP, with Mallory's primary care physician, and she doesn't seem that knowledgeable in the whole compound business. So he was very polite, and said to my mom, you know, because first of all, he said, based on what you're telling me, your kid is definitely unbalanced with regards to hormones. And if one hormone is just slightly off, if something is slightly out of whack, it throws everything off. So he's like, we definitely need to get that balanced, but it's just a matter of what needs to be what, right? Does that make any sense? I really don't know. I don't know. But he's like, well, talk to the doctor, give her all my information, like, have her call me, and I'll be more than happy to talk to her and explain how I can compound things for Mallory. So I feel like I will not need to see an endocrinologist again, because I tried to see one once and he was pervert. And really, like, the endocrinologists around here, they're really good at, like, helping you if you have diabetes. Anything else, forget about it. You're screwed. We looked at the reviews. Well, my mom mostly looked at the reviews for local endocrinologists, and it was run, don't walk. Like, this person ruined my life. Like, the reviews were horrible. And based off of my bad experience, I'm like, no, if I can avoid one of these, I would gladly not have to ever see an endocrinologist again. So, where does that leave us? Well, I will let you know in the next video. So until then, definitely, if you want to find out where it's going, definitely subscribe, ring the bell, like this video, leave all your comments, questions, suggestions down below. And until next time, keep it quirky.